Well, Dustin, I super appreciate you coming here for a variety of reasons. One of which is I love that I end up listening to a podcast you did with a buddy of mine, Nick Gamble, there pretty recently. So it was actually a funny little preview. I'm like, oh, Dustin and I are actually talking next week as well. So for anyone who doesn't know you, man, Dust, I know you've told your story to a million people, but I would love to hear it for myself because I don't think I know you too well.
Well, yeah, no, thanks, David. I super appreciate you having me on. And kind of before we fully get rolling here, I just wanted to acknowledge you for all the great stuff you do for our industry and all the great content you put out there. Honestly, you're one of the inspirations of kind of getting me to put myself out there more. I see what you're doing for publicizing job ads and stuff like that, and like your confidence and just how you're kind of doing it. I'm truly impressed.
No, I definitely appreciate that, but I can just say the same to you. You're one of the people whose name always pops up regularly, even sharing those posts, and that really matters. The idea is to get out to a broader community. I just finished sitting down with guys a few minutes ago called the Phoenix Foundation, their mental health foundation, and we never got into that subject about how not having a job, how devastating it is on families. And people talk about the money to pay the bills, and I get it, but there's a whole other component of loss that people feel when guys aren't working. So for you to share those postings for me, Dustin, I take that personally because I've been that guy with a young family who didn't have. It was a long winter. I didn't have a job. I had kids. I had all the shit at home, and it's not nice, man. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I fully understand. I can relate with the hard times there, and I think as a guy, as a provider, it's part of your identity there. Providing for your family and having a job, and I know for me, it's definitely built into my identity. So when you're kind of displaced, or you kind of lose a little bit of that, and you get a little bit hopeless to some degree, right? I've had that myself.
No, for sure.
No, okay. Well, as far as my origin story, I guess we'll kick that off. So, yeah, my name's Dustin Kutcher. I'm with Dark Ark Welding from Dawson Creek, BC. Me and my wife Ashley Kutcher own and operate this company. We're an Indigenous-owned company affiliated with Doig River First Nations. We are Northeastern BC's premier service provider, offering construction, maintenance, decommissioning, and turnarounds. That's kind of the gist of the business. So we do pipe fitting, welding, equipment work. We have CNC, powder coating, mechanics. That's kind of the brief overview of services. We have shop and mobile services as well. And kind of how it all started, basically, I was in high school there, and we had an opportunity to do a dual credit program through Northern Lights College in Dawson. And I was not 100% sure what I wanted to do, but I knew a couple people that did welding, and it was about the only thing that really had kind of an interest for me. So I went down that route and ended up doing the dual credit program through the college there. And then from there, graduated, finished high school, started my apprenticeship with a company in Fort St. John. And they were super good to me. They apprenticed me through my entire till I got a red seal, and really took me under their wing and showed me a lot. What I think's neat there, not to kind of deviate from the story too much, but from being a young person, growing up from very humble beginnings, I've never, that was my first interaction with someone that had some success. So prior to that, living in a trailer park and that, and seeing, people that all have substance abuse issues or some form of something, it was my first exposure to somebody that's actually successful. And, one story would be is, I traveled to a site with the owner there about 2 hours a day for a few weeks there. And he was kind of the first person I met that actually, had a different mindset. He had an abundance mindset, and he seen the world through a different lens than anyone else I've ever talked to. And I was like, wow, this is totally different than the people I've been exposed to, and it really inspired me to go on my personal growth development and just start with high levels of accountability because at that time I was probably being a bit of a victim and blaming other circumstances. And once you get some extreme accountability, I think that's what really is the catalyst to changing your life. But anyways, back to the Dark Ark segment here. So me and my wife Ashley Kutcher, we run Dark Ark out of northeastern BC, and she actually started out as my welder's helper back in 2012, which she was not the fondest of. It wasn't her first job choice by any means. And anyway, she was really good about it. She came out to sites, and we stayed in camp for long durations at a time, and we kind of built that up from there. And we never had big aspirations of having a company and all these things. We just wanted to provide some opportunities, mostly for my family and some friends of ours. And that one thing led to another, and here we are, kind of thing.
How is you said you've had some good support when you were coming up. How has that influenced how you kind of bring other people on into your company and how you actually do some mentoring yourself now?
I like that question. And I think where it comes down to is you need to have a why bigger than yourself. It's not all about you. You got to have a mission statement that includes others and is bigger than yourself. So our kind of meaningful mission is we want to add value to others and create opportunities for others within the company. And that's what we're all about here. So we're really pushing that, and I think it's attracted some really good talent that way. And yeah, we've had some growth with that as well.
How has the industry, do you feel, changed even since you've started? Because you've been at it a little bit now, like for good or for bad. How have you seen it changed?
Well, I think our safety has excelled. We're definitely, from even the 15 years that I've been doing this, safety has been at the forefront now, which is a great thing. We're doing things at a higher level of safety and environmentally friendly. Our impact is far less than it's ever been. From a different perspective, though, I think our costs and our actual profit margins is quite low substantially. Even from when we started in 2008 till now, some of our rates versus costs are crazy difference. So I would say that's a struggle, not just for the employer, but for the employees as well. Hourly wages haven't increased to match inflation, I don't feel.
Are you feeling this, so the side I work on, Dust, I'm sure is the pipeline construction side. So I work in the larger diameter project space. So we're really having a really slow period between last year and unfortunately this year as well, with a lot of projects like, coastal, TMEP, all the NGTL loops closing up, unfortunately at the same time. Are you experiencing the same slowdown, or are you guys doing all right?
Our construction is definitely less than it should be, for sure. We are doing some construction, but we're fortunate we have other avenues. We do a lot of maintenance. We're doing quite a bit of decommissioning. So we're still reasonably busy, but, it's not what it should be, what I thought. Now that CGL is completed and these jobs, I thought we'd be really in a good 5-year cycle here, and it kind of hasn't started yet by what I see.
Yeah. You said your wife was your helper originally. I'm sure she just did that to get close to you, but is she still working in the business?
Yeah, she's still full-time. She runs all of our administration side, so accounts payable, accounts receivable, different ISN, ComplyWorks, Avetta, all those aspects. And she has a team under her, and yeah, she has a lot to manage, and she does a really good job though, and she gets to work from home, so I think she's a lot happier than she was previously, so that's good.
No, right on. Is this an industry I assume you'll be bringing kids into at some point?
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old son, and I really hope that he has the bug the same as I do, and he can kind of carry things forward.
No, right on. I like the idea of bringing up a generation behind us. What do you think about? I'll ask you a question. Actually, my mom asked me many years ago because I have two kids so far who've come out pipelining, and she told me, she said, when you kids were young, I always hoped you wouldn't do it. Not that she didn't love pipeline or not that it didn't provide us a nice life, but she was worried, you are away from home a lot, and that has different challenges in its own right on families. But she said, fast forward, I can see what a wonderful life it's created for you guys and the community you're involved with. So she goes, now I feel differently about you bringing my grandkids into it because she goes, I do feel it's a special place and it can be a safer place than I thought originally. So do you see some of those dynamics as well and bringing it or thinking about bringing some of your kids into it?
Yeah, I definitely see the oil field in a positive light. The world needs more energy, and we need to collectively get on board with that. So I'm definitely a huge promoter of the whole oil and gas industry, and I hope my kid carries that flag and carries it forward. And to some degree, you see different kind of bad publicity as a whole there, and that's really not the case. We produce such clean energy here, and it's such a needed service. I'm really proud to be a small part of it.
No, I appreciate that. It's funny, we call this support pipelines, Dust, but the reality is we're supporters of Canadian energy in all forms it comes. So we're big advocates of all tradespeople, the forestry industry, the mining industry, oil and gas, obviously. But yeah, we're definitely vocal advocates because we don't necessarily, in some cases, we might not be the best, but we're trying to be better as an industry everywhere we go, and we're very, very proud of it as well.
Yeah, I think everyone's doing a great job, and if we all support it and promote it and get it out to the general public that this is a great thing and it's a great form of energy,
Hmm.
you know, and really green energy. I'm a promoter of all, like you said, all types of energy. We work at coal mines and we do a little bit of forestry as well, and we've done some BC hydro projects. So, it's all great work, and I'd like to support kind of in any facet we can.
Cool. So I never asked you, Dust, where do you grow up?
So I grew up in Chetwynd, BC, so just an hour away from here. Pretty small town. I think you're probably familiar with that, actually, with that.
I'm 5 years into being familiar with it, actually. But we
Yeah.
have we thought it's a great community. We've actually talked about it not just as a company, but as a lot of the guys and girls who've worked in there. We thought, man, we've pipelined a lot in different communities. In that community, we felt very, very welcomed, very embraced, very. So a lot of the dramas you hear about, oil and gas guys coming into work in these small communities, we never felt any of those dramas or heartburn. We feel very fortunate to have gotten to know Chetwin.
And Chetwynd really appreciated you guys as well. I know there was a ton of all of the vendors and all of the hotels and pretty much everybody within the town had a benefit from you guys being there. Created a lot of jobs, and it was great for the town. Honestly, I know they'd love to see another pipeline come through.
Well, they're about to get their wish just when I was packing up there in October to head back and button up here from Calgary. The Enbridge office is set up. The yard laydown signs are out. It's coming.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. I'm glad people are pushing forward and putting some capital towards this region. I think we're so resource rich here, and I'm really excited to see our first LNG ship get exported. Though I think that's going to change things, and I think it's going to kind of put us on the map that we have a proven service, basically.
Yeah, we can get it done. And for all the dramas and challenges and heartburn it took to get it going, we did get it done. A very challenging project, and we built it. And yeah, gas will be flowing soon. Getting back to Chatwin, one of the challenge we have with as an industry is there is those negative perceptions out there you mentioned earlier about energy workers and maybe some of the negative impacts they can have on these small communities. And we walked into that a little bit because we were originally setting up a camp right in town, and it didn't work out for reasons I can't get into. But so we all ended up staying in Chetwynd, and we were so well received, Dustin. Like I said, I can't emphasize enough how strong of affection we all have for the community of Chetwynd, because it is a small town. It's only, I'm going to say 2,500 people or so, and we were very, not, I don't want to say concerned, but we still read articles in the newspaper where people talk very unkindly about us pipeliners coming into these small towns. And when we're rolling into the Squamish area and had the same dramas, we just feel like we can't win because we're trying to do better and be good guys and be community supporters and all these things. And those perceptions, whether for right or for they wrong, they still exist. And I'd love to know your thoughts on how can we change those perceptions as an industry?
I think that's a good question. And I think the whole northeastern BC, whether it's Chetwynd or Dawson Creek, I would say this whole region is full of, down to earth, hardworking people. And long as you create mutually beneficial relationships, I think everybody has a good, they're going to want to see it succeed. And, within, whether that being with Indigenous communities or the community itself, I think we're pretty receptive in this area to industry. And I would say at least 50% of the people I know work within the oil field to some capacity. So we're definitely promoters, and you know, I think there's a lot of opportunity for all of us.
No, I think so too. I don't really know Dawson Creek as well. I've got a lot of friends in Fort St. John in that coal Peace Country area, but I find
Mhm.
Fort St. John has a real community feel to it. Is it the same kind of feel in Dawson?
Yeah, Dawson and Fort St. John are very similar. There's rural farming and stuff, so it's very much a community feel. And, even coming from Chetwynd to Dawson, they've been nothing but great to us, very welcoming here and supported our business. And it's been wonderful.
Right on. Can you envision a life after a dark art, dark arc?
I don't know yet. I'm on the Freedom 85 plan right now, so I got
You
a
have to
while
go.
to go here. But one avenue I do like to do outside of the oil field is we just started a ranching farming little business, and so we have some cattle and we're doing hay and some different stuff like that. So maybe some rodeo events. So I could see myself eventually, trying to transition more to that at some point.
All right, on. Well, I have a couple friends that live up there. Trent Lindbergh, he has a company called Swamp Donkey.
Mhm.
Really good person, and Joel Dyna up there with Parallel Projects. And both of them, every time I talk to them, they speak so kindly about that town of Dawson Creek and what wonderful life they built there. And they talk lots about the community as well. So it's nice to hear you say kind of the same things.
Yeah, no, it's a great place to grow up and raise kids, and obviously and work as well. And we kind of service a pretty big region. Like right now, we got guys all the way from Fox Creek, although almost to Fort Nelson. So we're not just servicing northeastern BC, but we'll really travel anywhere for projects. So we're definitely pretty open, and we have our interprovincial core, so we can do Alberta and BC. So crossing borders is not an issue for us.
Are you all staffed up these days? You're still looking for bodies?
We are currently full. We've just onboarded our last people here, and so we're currently looking good. So, and with that being said, that's just the very beginning of Q1 here, so things can change, and we may get stuff added to our plate here, which we'll need to ramp up for. But right now, we're sitting pretty good.
Right on. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, but one thing I'd really appreciate your thoughts on is a conversation that's pretty prevalent and a conversation I know you know very well. Is how do you encourage people, Dustin, to hang in there and with these ebbs and flows of oil and gas and pipeline and projects? How do you encourage people to hang in there, stay in the industry, get better days ahead, especially if they've never experienced these before?
Yeah, I think any industry has some form of hardship, and that's bound to happen. And I think all you can really do in these situations is focus on the positive and try to work on yourself. Control the things you can control. I'll give you some examples with that. Instead of, maybe listening to the news or going on social media a bunch, read some good books, take some time, do some personal development, and take some downtime and use it for good. Get a gym membership, put some work in, and you're gonna, when you do come back to work, you're gonna be feeling so much better anyway. So it's not always a bad thing to put some work on yourself and educate yourself that way.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Dustin. Man, I appreciate your time. And again, I can't thank you enough. Your name is one of the names I see all the time sharing my posts. And like I said, I can't thank you enough because I know there's families out there that see those you sharing too. And whether they get a job or not, they can see the effort behind it. So keep up the great work, brother. I do thank you so much.
No, you're super welcome, David. And I think we both have that same alignment there on trying to add value to others, and you know, trying to just elevate the whole industry and create value for others and for companies and personally too.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say? What is your biggest challenges right now that you'd like to kind of resolve?
In the industry, my immediate challenge is to get people working. So I've watched us put a lot of really great experience, especially into younger people in the last 5, 6, 7 years between Trans Mountain, all the NGTL loops, Coastal Gas, like these have been multi-year programs, and we've brought a lot of new people into the industry, and we've put a lot of good experience into them. And my fear is when you have a young family with bills to pay, they're not positioned to go a prolonged period without a paycheck basically. So the challenge is a lot of these people, for right or for wrong, they'll end up leaving the industry out of necessity. So we could potentially be losing a good bit of that pool just so they can keep a roof over their head, and they will find themselves into other industries. And I would never begrudge people for leaving and trying to do something different and create a life for their family, but I am proud of this industry, and it does take that steady stream of new blood coming into it, of tradespeople and leadership, to try to keep it going so we can not just compete on the global stage as an energy industry in a country. We can be better, and I always want to be improving, and this is where these young people come in. And at the moment, that's my immediate need, is get these kids working, keep them fed, keep them paid. So once we fire up again in 2026, or when we're going to ramp up again with all these other big projects, that we're well positioned to do it. That's my immediate. The longer term concern or challenge for me to support in one way or another is to try to manage this mental health issue, because I see it as something that doesn't seem to be, it's improving slowly, but I still see enough guys, losing their lives, and women as well, of course. And I've had enough conversations with them, Dustin, about, they see all these health and wellness programs and employee assistance programs about whether it's finances or relationships or addiction. And a lot of them have told me they don't want to phone those 1-800 numbers. They're not comfortable. They don't know who's on the other line, but they said for sure as shit, it's not a pipeliner who understands. So we have done some small groups at camp this summer where we put people together in a very confidential, private way, initially to discuss about addiction and drinking, and it kind of almost like an AANA format. And what happened was, after a while of me sitting back and observing this, I was like, holy shit, like the need isn't necessarily, or the more pressing need isn't the drinking and substance abuse issues. It's more in finding a safe place for these guys to share about what's going on in their life. Because what they're telling me, Dustin, is they don't want to talk. They love the guys on the crew. They're very safe. They're part of the team. This is their family. They said they don't want to put up their hand necessarily and say they're struggling because they don't want to feel that they can't be counted on, because they want to be counted on. They want to pull their weight. They want to be part of the team. They want to be part of the crew. And they're scared of introducing something where people question their capacity, or they question their loyalty, or they question whether they'll be able to get it done, you know. And that's my more longer term challenge, is try to promote these conversations where people can start normalizing, hey man, if you're not doing okay, put up your hand. What the solution is, we're not sure, but we sure as shit don't want you to do something you can't take back. So as an industry, I still feel like I have a lot of years left to go, and I'm the same as you. Try to add value, try to do your part, try to make the industry a little bit better than when it was when you found it. So that's my ambition.
Yeah, I really like that. And I can definitely understand where it's hard to be vulnerable for guys. They have, just like you're saying, you want to be strong, you want to be capable, you want to put your best effort forward. But sometimes, people are just facing whatever they're facing and they're having a hard time. Do you have any tips for just the general public that you would share on the mental health that?
I do, absolutely I do, because I know even when I was struggling the last few years, because you're so grateful to be working and you're so happy to doing something, you feel special and contributing, but that doesn't take away the stuff that's going on in the background of your life. And some of the best, such a simple question, which was asked to me by my older brother Gunnar, because I used him as a sounding board a lot when I was struggling and phoning him. And I remember one time, so this would be 2 or 3 years ago, yeah, two and a half years ago. He said, "Hey, well, do you have a friend there? Someone you could hang around with and talk to there?" And I remember just thinking, I was like, I mean, I got lots of people, but I didn't really have that friend, that one person, that safe place where you could really talk to very openly. So I was missing that. And then fast forward even 6 months or a year, I had that person there on the job all of a sudden that I could do that and talk to and share. And man alive, did it ever change my attitude, my outlook, everything about it changed for the better. And it was such a simple question. Just Gunnar asked, do you have a friend? Well, shit,
Yeah.
man, you don't even realize, you're all part of the same crew, and there's all the guys out there, and they're all doing good, but you still need to have that, not just a friendly, good rapport with the guys. You need to have a safe person, a safe place. So if there's no other person, then they have that one person, it could make a difference of someone. How do you solve this? I'm not sure. I think you try to pair people together, try to keep them going, keep families together. So like I said, if you have a guy who's trying to build a life in a relationship, but they're not married yet, and he's got a long-term girlfriend, is she open to coming to the industry? Great. Well, maybe we can drag her in and try to keep that kind of family unit together and keep them going, or get the kids involved, get them, basically create those units where you have those issues where safety and friendship. That's all we can do, is try our best, because the reality is, Dustin, you know better than anyone, there's only so many seats to go around.
Yeah.
It's definitely tough when the industry gets going, but we say it all the time. It's cliche. Look out for each other, and I hope when you put your arm around one of the guys, Dustin, and say, "Hey, you doing okay?" Because of who you are, Dustin, they hopefully will know you mean it when you say that, and that's why I'm so appreciative of everything you're doing, because I can see you're sincere when you share some of these things and say some of these things on LinkedIn. That's why I want you to keep up what you're doing, because I think it's making a difference.
No, I really appreciate that, David. And I think a huge part of that is just having the right intention. I definitely don't have it all figured out, just like everybody else. But I think having the best intention for others and really wanting to see people win. I want to see people win more than I want to see myself win. And I think when people get that, hopefully they catch a little bit of motivation, a little bit of, gain some confidence within themselves to try more. And I definitely understand the mental health thing. It's kind of, even for myself, it's been issues over the past. And I think one thing I've personally done is trying to build some mental fortitude. And how I do that is by doing the hard things. Hard things being, eating clean, keeping the promises to yourself that you know that you should be doing. So that's eating clean, exercising, and even doing, making hard sales phone calls that you don't really want to make, and introductions, and just doing the hard work. And at the end of the day, when you go to bed, I think you feel good about yourself. And I think that helps with that whole thing. I think when people get a lot of mental health issues, are they really living with are they doing the things that they know they should be doing? Maybe they're self-medicating, and they're, doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And I think subconsciously that's kind of where it kind of starts manifesting there.
For sure. I think what you're describing for me is it just illustrates the importance of surrounding yourself with good people. Because I mean, that will make such a difference in not just your behaviors and your habits and your actions, because those behaviors and actions and habits, Dustin, they can be negative or they can be very positive. So it's so important that you're surrounded. So find your tribe, find those good guys, because there's a lot of great pipeliners out there, charismatic people in the oil and gas industry, and they're maybe not the best people for us. We love them to death like our family, but you know what? They're on a different path. And like I said, for myself, I try to surround myself with good people. And to people, that means going to the gym, that means not staying up too late, that means trying your best every day, and that means mentoring and putting your arm around as many young guys coming up as you can, for sure. Find your tribe, man.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And there's always that saying, you are like your a combination of the 5 people you hang around the most. And I think if you can get, let's say, whether it's 5 people or 10 people or whatever that number is, but have really good influential people. I know I belong to a group out of Grand Prairie there that is a mentorship thing, and they've helped me immensely. And when you're surrounding yourself with people that are, beyond what you're doing, you're going to push yourself to do better, be better, and ultimately you guys grow together, and it's all good things. And in the reverse of that, I think you gotta at least set boundaries for people that are toxic or not positive for you. So maybe you don't have to remove them in a work situation. You probably can't, but at least set boundaries that are healthy, and move forward in that way.
For sure. It's funny, I've said that even to my kids, because I said, they're at the age in the late teens, early 20s, where they're at the point where they're making real life decisions all of a sudden. I said, you know what, guys, it's fine. We always say, when you're a kid, stand up to bullying, and if you see something, say something. But the reality is, when you get into the real world, it's really hard to do, because a lot of the times when you're talking about making better decisions, whether it's drugs or drinking or bullying or whatever, it could be coming from people that are your friends. And I said, all you can do is try to look yourself in the mirror and make sure you're proud of yourself, and have some of those hard conversations, because especially when it comes to your friendships, sometimes they need someone to hold them to account. Well, be that person, be that better person, be that one that makes the right decisions and helps encourage other people to be better, because the alternative is you end up going with the group, and sometimes the group isn't always the best place to be, because they don't have the courage as an older guy to tell someone to fuck off. They're not at that stage of their life, unfortunately, but they need to find that moral compass, hopefully sooner than later, too.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think from an early age, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because those situations are going to come up, and you're going to have to deal with things you don't like, whether, that's on so many different levels of life. And I think once you kind of channel that and you get comfortable with that, you got a lot more options, and you got confidence, and you don't have to necessarily tell people to get lost or whatever the case, but be a leader and lead by example. If you're doing all the right things and doing your very best, then that's really all you can do.
For sure. No, couldn't agree more, man. Well, I hope to be able to meet your young son at some point, enters way into industry. I'd be so pleased if I would find him wander onto one of them jobs. You say, hey, David, can you keep an eye on this kid for me? I would love nothing more than that, man.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And he's only 8 right now, but give him another 10 years, and we'll see where he ends up.
Right on. Well, like I said, I won't keep you, but I couldn't appreciate more, Dustin, with everything you're doing. Keep up the great work, and we'll look forward to I hopefully have this conversation in person next time. Next time you're through Calgary.
Yeah, absolutely. I do come there fairly often, so we'll definitely meet up, and I'd love to do it in person. That'd be great.
Okay, right on. Well, you take care, brother, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
You as well. Thanks, David.